This is the Scholarlynk news for 16 December 2020. The prices of vegetables in Malaysia has seen huge increases, in some cases by more than 100%. This is due to the longer than usual rainy spell and the lack of farmhands due to border closures and the movement control order. The drop in supply then resulted in the increase in price of vegetables. This is expected to last until the weather changes in January. Overcast skies on days when there was no rain also meant that there wasn't enough sunlight for photosynthesis, affecting flowering and production of fruits. Global weather models showed that the La Nina effect was ongoing and expected to last until May. La Nina is a wet weather phase when cooler than normal water circulates in the Pacific Ocean and around the equator, bringing with it colder and wetter weather. Think about it. If irrigation can be used to alleviate drought conditions, do you know of any methods that can be used when there is too much water? Are there any man-made solutions for lack of sunlight? The 50 richest people in Indonesia did not see much drop in their wealth despite the economic hardships brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. The country is in its first recession since 1998, and millions of people are suffering in poverty. The combined wealth of the 50 richest people is about 72% of the state budget spending for 2021. By another measure, the richest 1% of Indonesians hold 45% of the country's total household wealth. Despite the pandemic, several of the tycoons saw their total wealth increase. An economist at the University of Indonesia felt that the government should seek opportunities to tax the country's wealthiest individuals, to redistribute income, and reduce inequality. Some forms of tax could be an inheritance tax or a wealth tax. Think about it. How do you think the people of Indonesia feel when they see the rich getting richer, but their own suffering has increased due to the pandemic? Do you feel the government has an obligation to bridge the wealth gap? And if so, why? The China National Space Administration reported that the orbiter re-entry capsule combination of China's Chang'e 5 robotic probe has started its journey back to Earth. The combination fired its engines when it was about 230 kilometers above the Moon's surface, moving it into the Moon-Earth transfer trajectory. The combination will still perform mid-course corrections during its flight back to Earth. Once it reaches Earth orbit, the re-entry capsule will separate and conduct a series of maneuvers to arrive at a preset landing site in Inner Mongolia. Chang'e 5 is China's largest and most sophisticated lunar probe, consisting of an orbiter, lander, ascender, and re-entry capsule. The lander-ascender combination landed on the Moon. When the ascender activated to lift itself into a lunar orbit to dock with the re-entry capsule, it marked the first time a Chinese spacecraft had blasted off from an extraterrestrial body. When the ascender docked with the orbiter re-entry capsule, it was the first time any spacecraft in lunar orbit has performed an automated link-up. Think about it. This mission will make China the third country in the world to bring lunar samples back to Earth, and also showcased their spacecraft capabilities. How do you think this will affect their standing in the scientific community? Hackers broke into the networks of federal agencies, including the Treasury and Commerce departments. This came just days after the prominent cybersecurity firm FireEye said that its network had been attacked and the company's own hacking tools were stolen. The hacking tools are used to probe the defenses of thousands of its customers, which include governments and top global corporations. It appears that the attack on US government agencies is the same months-long global cyber espionage campaign that also affected FireEye. The conduit for the hacks appears to be a popular piece of server software called SolarWinds, where malware had been slipped into one of its software updates. The malware gives hackers remote access to victims' networks. SolarWinds has 300,000 customers worldwide, including the US military, the Pentagon, the State Department, NASA, the National Security Agency, the Department of Justice, and the White House. It is expected that this will be one of the most impactful espionage campaigns on record. Think about it. Do you think it is possible that such a large-scale attack could be the work of private individuals, or would they be backed by a government? If so, which country do you think sponsored the attack? Scientists have genetically modified a tomato to produce L-DOPA, a drug used to treat Parkinson's disease. Researchers suggest that this method could be an easier and cheaper way to produce the essential medicine. This strategy combines cultivation of easily grown plants with low-cost, simple extraction procedures to offer communities their own production capabilities. This will also reduce the reliance on big pharmaceutical companies to synthesize and distribute medicines around the world. Already, an Australian tobacco plant is used to produce flu and polio vaccines and anti-inflammatory proteins. The tomato was chosen to produce L-DOPA because it is a high-yield crop and is easily grown in many parts of the world. The naturally produced L-DOPA may also help Parkinson's patients who respond badly to synthetically produced L-DOPA. The hope is that this technology will give developing nations better access to pharmaceutical technology. Think about it. Why aren't all medicines which can be produced in plants made in this manner? What do you think are some of the drawbacks? This brings us to the end of today's edition of the Scholarlynk News. Please remember to subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified of our new videos. As always, this is the Scholarlynk team wishing you goodbye and have a wonderful rest of the day.